Part two, the fame I never expected. Several years went by, and I still had no plan for the future. I was just coasting through life like Peter Pan, as if he discovered Tinder and tried to sleep with Tinkerbell at every waking moment of his day. At a bar one evening, the most world redundant sentence and statement in my life at that time. At a bar one evening, a squat, bald Swede man named Perr swaggered up, grinning like he'd swallowed a bottle of sunshine and a fistful of mescaline. His eyes sparkled with the kind of manic charm that could sell ice to Eskimos or snake oil to a church congregation. You look like an actor. Are you an actor? Some kind of traveling musician here? He asked before buying me my next round. Nope, just teach English, I said. But I'm acting right now as if this drink is an Oscar, and I'll definitely be taking my acceptance speech to the toilet. He laughed the kind of laugh that sounds like a cartoon hyena on nitrous, then launched into a wide-eyed pitch about how Korean entertainment and marketing agencies were starving for Western faces. My eyes widened as I inched forward, closer to him. Something felt like a breakthrough was about to come from this. I don't have any experience in acting, though, I said, as we slinked back the next round of soju. He almost spat out his drink in laughter. That's not necessary over here. The bar is very, very low. You don't need experience, just the look, he said. And you got it most than I represent over here. I bet I could make you famous. Now my eyes were lit up like a crackhead who just found a 20 on the sidewalk. He told me about a movie called No Breathing, where he needed a fit swimmer. It was filming next month. Payment under the table, so no visa violations. Basically, every expat wet dream wrapped in a bow. I agreed on the spot, sent him photos of me shirtless to share with the production team, and was cast the following week. Apparently, my qualifications were can swim and looks like a fit Westerner, which in Korean cinema is basically an Ivy League education. It was a small role starring the famous Lee Jong-suk, where I played an antagonist who aggressively taunted the main character in English before getting my ass kicked in the pool. The scene got the axe cut from what was from what quickly earned the crown of the year's worst film, but the fleeting taste of acting lit a fire inside my belly. Later, I found out Per's promise to make me a star was just hot air. Mental candy he handed out freely to any poor bastard dumb enough to swallow it. I didn't know that at the time, and even if I did, it wouldn't have mattered. After being on a movie set, the drug was already in my system. I had a new mission in life. I was going to be the most famous white guy in Korean history. Korean productions desperately needed foreign actors to play any role requiring Western authenticity. I'd watch the worst actors you could imagine playing these coveted roles on famous K dramas, the most revered and watched shows in all of Asia, let alone Korea. Some foreign actors graced billboards and ultra famous shows where their only skill set was speaking Korean fluently. Koreans absolutely loved that. If this uncharming, unskilled people could make it, fame was going to be a walk in the park. I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. So I quit teaching, grabbed my 10 grand in savings, and dove headfirst into the madness of chasing fame. Working under a new acting visa, I quickly discovered how shady and manipulative Perr was. He promised fame to dozens of others, and meeting them revealed they weren't famous at all, just fellow dreamers chasing the same empty promises. Foreign actor agencies operated entirely under the table, nothing like America, where agents take their 10% and proper contracts are signed. Here, actors juggle multiple agencies and they're half drunk circus performers with no contracts, no residuals, and no transparency about how much those leeches skimmed off before tossing us the scraps. We figured it was somewhere between 70 and 80%. Highway robbery committed in broad daylight. But I was okay with that. And I was always, always happy to smile for the camera. I cared, but I also didn't. All I wanted was the fame, the raw, radioactive glow of being recognized, so I could spin it into my own empire. Business deals, product ads, my face grinning like a madman from every billboard in Seoul. I thought fame would come over the course of a year or so, and rather easily if I networked with enough agencies. Instead, it came swinging with brass knuckles. I quickly burned through my savings and ended up in what Koreans call a goshiwan, essentially a glorified closet with a bed, barely large enough for one person, a shared bathroom down the hall, and walls so thin you could hear neighbors breathe. But it was only 75 bucks a week and had free kimchi and rice in the kitchen. With $32 left in my bank account and no credit card, I found myself in extreme survival mode again, desperately needing a break. Fortune struck when I landed a role as Magneto in an X-Men Days of Future Past movie promotional commercial, earning 500 bucks that kept me alive another month. The ball finally started rolling from there, and momentum became everything in Korea's insular entertainment world. This eventually led to a reoccurring role on NBC's Surprise, the longest running and arguably most famous TV show in Korean history, a reenactment show where I portrayed different famous people throughout history who had surprising or bizarre stories. I played every single one of the Beatles, been a Nazi more times than I can count. In early years, Frank Sinatra, a gay Marlon Brando, the Australian father whose baby was eaten by a dingo, and countless other historical figures and newsmakers in history that I bore absolutely no resemblance to. The more I appeared on that show and built out my acting reel, the more I befriended other actors who introduced me to additional agencies. After 3 years of grinding in the industry, I was finally starting to make it. Over the following 4 years, I appeared in over 130 productions, dramas, movies, reality shows, commercials, and voice acting work. I became one of the top 5 foreign performers in Korea, the only one versatile enough to seamlessly transition between action movies, children's shows, fitness modeling, and voice work with equal competence or incompetence, depending on who you who you speak with. I was the face up and character in a massive multiplayer online role playing video game, performed as the backup dancer to 30,000 people at a concert, and was featured on a subway ad. And with all this newly found fame, I found myself drowning in women, creating an insatiable desire for sex, leading me to sleep with over 100 women in just a few years. Life was as good as it gets. One time, I was a hand model for the first edition of the Samsung Galaxy Watch, a commercial that was to be aired in America, as if Americans could tell the difference between a Korean hand and an American hand. Like my career in life, none of it made any sense. I joked that the best hand job I ever got was from a Samsung marketing executive. When global media company Vice found out about me, they were eager to shadow and film me for about a week. I said no, not because I was humble, but because I was protecting my turf. Why invite real talent to crash my party? I'd found a strange gold mine where the mediocre could be famous, and I intended to keep it that way. The momentum kept building, and my career just kept ascending. I worked with dozens of K-pop stars in their commercials and music videos, including the mega famous Hyuna, Girls' Generation, Super Junior, and Sistar. On the silver screen and television, I was acting alongside Korea's A-listers, their version of George Clooney and Brad Pitt. Some of these dramas became so culturally dominant that the Chinese government had to make a public announcement urging its citizens to stop binge watching Descendants of the Sun, which is one of the most popular K-dramas in history, where I played an army officer, and get back to work. That's a true story, and I still can't believe I just typed those words out. And the star worship was absolutely unhinged. I'd watch fans and makeup artists literally prostrate themselves at Korean celebrities' feet, present elaborate gifts, and receive a cheap sticker with the star's face on it in return, knowing these celebrities would be mass distributing them like trading cards. We might obsess over Leo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks here, but over there, actors occupy an entirely different stratosphere of deification. They are absolute gods there, and I desperately wanted to be one of those gods. Commercials, of all things, turn out to be my golden goose. Korean mega companies like Samsung, LG, and Kia didn't just pay the rent. They paid for my new baller pad with a wraparound deck and breathtaking view of the city skyline, my bottomless bar tab, and my slow, glorious slide into debauchery. Sex became simply too easy, requiring that all I did was show a girl a behind-the-scenes shot with her favorite K-drama star, and the night was booked. I stopped counting at 100 women, partly because the number didn't matter, and partly because I couldn't remember most of their names and faces. The biggest success and most rewarding for me was Action English, a live-action children's educational program teaching kids English through hip-hop and humor. It aired on Korea's most popular channel, KBS2, and was essentially the Wiggles meets the Beastie Boys. I played Mr. Red, the dumb one, alongside my Canadian acting friends, Mr. Yellow, the smart one, and Mr. Blue, the gay one. We had coloring books featuring our characters distributed across hundreds of elementary schools, and the show became so widely popular that even adults were binge watching episodes to learn English. My Instagram exploded with DMs from fans thanking me for helping them get the language in ways their tutors couldn't. I even secured my Pomeranian, Eddie, regular gigs on the show and in commercials. As his agent, I generously kept 100% of his earnings. The little furball never even knew what hit him. Somehow, the fearful kid from small town Kentucky was now living the exact opposite of everything he'd ever known and was loving every ridiculous minute of it. Yet behind it all, I also got to see behind Korea's glittering entertainment curtain and societal performance, discovering that the entire country was essentially one massive, beautifully choreographed cry for help. I had a theory emerge during this period. The more dopamine driven stimulation hitting a population, rather than heart centered fulfillment, the higher the suicide rates. Korea ranked among the world's highest in suicide rates, despite its technological advancement and growing prosperity. The constant pursuit of external validation, perfect appearance, academic achievement, and career success created a dopamine dependent culture that left people spiritually starved. Japan is exactly the same. Compare this to countries like Jamaica or Ghana, where suicide rates are among the world's lowest, places where success isn't measured by how many hours you spent in private schools, where entertainment means community dancing rather than worshiping celebrities, and where spiritual practice is about connection to something greater rather than begging for acceptance into the right company. Korea was a country half Buddhist, half Christian, yet 100% addicted to the very attachments both faiths taught people to release. It was all ego driven, a nation high on its own reflection, worshiping success like a golden calf in designer sneakers. I could write an entire book just on the industry's dark side alone. Faulty Samsung products that were deliberately edited in post production to make them appear functional, dangerous working conditions that literally kill people, also buried by the media, and systematic sexual abuse and exploitation that makes Hollywood look like a wellness retreat. I saw the factories where K pop stars are manufactured like smartphones. These entertainment companies would scoop up kids as young as 10 and 11, warehouse them in dormitories where they train 12 to 16 hours a day for years. Dancing, singing, language lessons, media communication classes, all while being told they might get cut at any moment. And 99% were. Most never debut. Those who do sign were dubbed slave contracts that give the three big entertainment companies control over their entire lives, from who they date and where they go to what they eat and wear. But from my standpoint as a foreigner, I didn't care about what was happening to them, and those rules didn't apply to me. I was getting mine. Life could not have been any better from where my ego sat. My fractured sense of self was finally getting the external validation it had been starving for since childhood, and nothing was ever going to be enough.